Oh, no expense spared on the
Yeah.
sound effects there. You can always tell, actually.
What?
You can always tell when I'm not necessarily sitting at my home studio
The
in
home
order to
studio.
play
Yeah.
the men's radio station jingle as a result of it. I'm afraid we have to improvise, as they
We
say.
do. We do. Yeah, yeah. I was a bit upset. Just a bit of music nonsense. There's a guy that I've always admired called Russ Ballard. Means nothing to you. And Russ Ballard wrote some great tunes. And he did a small concert in a local thing. And the great David Stark, who, if you love music, you'll know the name David Stark, went, and it was great. And he played all the classics. And I, to this day, I'm a massive Kiss fan. I'm just like obsessed with Kiss. It's a sort of standing joke amongst my friends. Yeah, standing joke. You are the Gene Simmons of Hertfordshire, and separated at birth. Um, and I didn't
It's the
realize
hair.
very similar. Well, they all wear wigs now on stage
Oh,
because
really?
oh sure, they all wear wigs now because they
Oh,
recreate how
gracious.
they looked in 1974. That's the idea. And this is the last tour. Veronica Curran, listening at Mum's. Busy day today. Okay. And Kimmy Lashmar, hello from sunny Clacton. Yeah, it's a nice day today. Anyway, he wrote New York Groove. I always thought Ace Frehley wrote New York Groove. Back in the New York
Oh,
Groove. Oh, Jilly
oh.
Willy. Hello, darling. Jill, I
Hi,
don't know what
JK.
oh, well, Phil's going to take the lead with hi, JK. I'm just going to say I'm sending lots of love. I'm sending a huge hug. Everybody at Men's Radio sending their love and best wishes to you for next week. Fingers crossed. You're much loved. You're highly thought of. And what a bloody thing to happen. There you go. Enjoy every day is the moral to that story.
Well, that's not cryptic for anyone who doesn't know the situation, but all the same, I echo what Mr. Kane says, obviously. But you know that already.
Jill's having an unexpected operation. Talking of New York, Elizabeth Green is back in the New York groove. I didn't realize Russ Ballard wrote that. I thought it was Ace Frehley. Hi, Elizabeth. And Kimmy Lashmar, hello. Did New York Groove hello? How do you mean hello? Did New York Groove hello? You lost me now.
Is there a band called Hello?
No, that's the opening line of Psycho Circus. Hello, this is me. I'm gonna do this is Psycho Circus. Great. Happy sunny day all, says Paul Andrews. Happy sunny day to you. The band Hello. I don't know the band Hello. Never heard of them.
Ah, you see.
Oh, I've
I've
never
got
heard of
it.
Hello. All right, thank you, Kimmy. Was that
That
a
would be
Russ?
why.
Was that
Can I just say, I
native?
apologize in advance. I'm not entirely sure how much of this program I will be talking because
Why?
I
Why?
have to divulge a bit of information, which I'm sure is
Oh
completely
God.
and utterly not of any interest to anyone whatsoever. But hey, that's
That's of
never stopped
interest
me
to me.
before.
Everything that happens to you is of interest to me.
It will soon change that. I decided that to wait until 1 o'clock for lunch, as I'm sure this
Yeah.
will come as a shock to you, would be
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
difficult for me because as you quite aware, I'm quite a peckish sort of person. Peckish and Jewish is the combination. And I decided I was going to have a
You've
tuna
never
melt.
mentioned that before.
No,
Oh,
I decided I was going to have a tuna melt sandwich before we went live. So I had
okay.
said tuna melt sandwich, but because I was rushing it, which is obviously not necessarily the most advisable thing to do when it comes to consuming food, I'm afraid I've got a bit of tuna stuck between my teeth.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's driving me ever so slightly crackers. It's like a
Okay.
Chinese torture.
Is it?
I didn't even know
Yeah.
allowed to. Actually, we're not allowed to say that anymore, are we?
Well,
The
interesting
expression
enough, my
Chinese
MP has
torture.
just had the whip removed. My MP, where I am, down South London, just had the whip removed. Big news this morning.
What for saying
Seriously.
Chinese torture?
Yes, for saying he was talking to a journalist of China, either a Chinese journalist or Chinese origin or whatever. I don't know. And
Heritage.
he's been done, had the whip removed for making apparently racist remarks.
My.
As a Labour MP, amazingly, it wasn't anti-Semitic remarks. Go figure. Makes a change. It was, I think, according to all the news reports, likening the reporter and saying he was a Chinese spy or something.
Oh.
What a load of old crap. You can't say anything. Robert Van Buren.
Anyway, so I apologize if I don't talk very much, but I might be trying to use my tongue for other purposes, such as dental floss. So I
Dirty
apologize.
swine. Bloody hell, you'll have Jill Kenton knocking on your door now. That's all you need. And you see, look, this is the missing you
Oh,
already,
Kimmy, you're
Phil.
too kind. Thank
yeah,
you.
Yeah, she is. She is. Now, I had the weirdest dream. Involving Phil. You're entering a
Isn't that
time.
nice? He dreams about me.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. And for some reason, I was wearing this stupid hat, like an enormous hat, which still had the price tag on it.
Are you sure this is when you're asleep?
Shut up. And I'm doing this. We're doing the show on Men's Radio, but I seem to be back in my school.
Well, this is when you're asleep. Because so far you're ticking the boxes. You're wearing a hat. You're doing the show.
Yep. I thought you couldn't speak much today. That didn't last, did it? That really didn't last.
I'll shut.
That really didn't last at all. Why don't we have a new section on a Friday? Phil's flossing with Phil, and we can just all together. We could all floss. Be brilliant. Now, here's
be on a shoestring budget. So yeah, sorry. So you were doing the show.
For some reason, I'm back in my old school gym, my nightmare. And it's all set out like when I was taking my exams, my A-level exams, endless desks as far as this was an enormous, huge building. And I'm trying to do the show and the microphone's gone, the computer's not working, and Phil's nowhere to be seen. And I'm wearing this stupid, enormous kind of fedora that comes out to that here. What the hell was this about? It was awful. And I woke up thinking, bloody Phil. And you come wandering in with all your pals. I said, where the hell have you been? Well, I had things to do. I said, look at us. Look, we've got no broadcast. Nothing's working. I look like an idiot. I went, well, and then I woke up.
To be fair, though, that is actually a sensation that you're quite used to, though. Where is Phil? Where's that idiot? So you're quite used to it.
No, I never say that. It was
you never say it to my face.
But obviously, you in the dream are the opposite of what you are in real life. Hang on, Paul Andrews. I wasn't kicking on that. There we go. I had a dream the other night when a sadly departed ex-business partner showed me a new card game.
I was going to say, you haven't read this on. I knew you had.
No, I hadn't read it on. That's why I was doing a really dumbass voice. I had a dream the other night. When a sadly departed ex-business partner showed me a new card game, woke up and realized it was actually quite good and original. So, are you serious? Paul, that's incredible.
Amazing.
That's really fantastic.
So it actually was on the cards.
If he plays his play your cards right. I'm late too. The Thai massage overran. Well, I hope it had a nice.
Leslie, I'm so sorry for the life you lead. It sounds excruciating.
It sounds awful. Look at this. This is nice. Morning greetings from Mallorca. Open mind. Mallorca is listening in. I forgot to tell you this. Martin Bell, who I've known since childhood, weirdly enough, through some bizarre cousins of mine, and not my lovely cousins. I mean, mad. Well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Martin Bell lives in Mallorca, and our show is streamed out there. Did you know that? Hi, everybody in Mallorca.
Every day is an education.
Every day is a school day. Who used to say that? Now,
Paul Claridge. Oh, you're going to go for Paul Andrews, okay. I was going to say Paul Claridge says, good afternoon all, but I'll go on to that in a minute because you've got Paul Andrews.
We got, I'm going to invent a pun game just for Phil. Yeah.
It was almost worth the delay.
I don't know. Go on with your Paul Claridge crawling. Go on.
Oh, gracious. Hello.
Go on.
Oh, good Lord. Look, it's like, bless you. It's seriously, have you ever wondered what the Millennium Dome would look like broadcasting?
It's like
anyway. Paul Claridge says, good afternoon all. Approaching the end of another wonderful week at East Croydon. Yesterday, another call to the police after some idiot spat at me. And I also stepped in to chase off, quote unquote, an old perv who tried to sexually assault one of the homeless girls as she was stood next to one of my newspaper trolleys. She told me it happens a lot. It's one of the perils she faces whilst living on the street. Gracious me.
Do you know what? I've been thinking about this, and I'm going out on a limb here. Paul really isn't the best advert for East Croydon when you think about it. If I was thinking of buying a property in East Croydon, I'd read 2 of Paul Claridge's posts, and I'd think, I'm not sure this is a good move.
Maybe it's a cunning trick.
Awful.
Maybe it's a cunning ploy in a bid to try and get the property prices down.
You're brave going with that lot. What you just said.
No, I know. It's possibly in a bid to try and get the property prices down there to make the bigger homes more affordable. That's my theory. I'm sticking with it.
You're a genius. You are a property genius. That is true. That is true. Do you know,
and Leslie is far too kind for his own good, where he says, don't think of your head as a dome. Think of it as an architectural masterpiece. Well, I can't necessarily see.
Phil is like the angel of the north. Phil is
like
like the angel of the north, aren't you? You're like the angel of the north. For Hertfordshire, they look for you and they go, "We're in Hertfordshire. Look, there's Phil." That's how you feel when you're traveling up the motorway. You see the angel of the north. You ever seen it in real life?
I think I drove past it once.
Well, that's what I mean. What are you going to do?
Didn't stop out. I didn't actually stop outside and have a look up at it. It would just be weird. But I did drive past it. In last September when I was driving around the UK. Well, initially I thought it was a structure to harness wind.
Yep. You've got to bring me into every conversation, haven't you?
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Those sort of like those oversized structures that they use to try and harvest supposedly greener energy, which actually ends up costing us more money, apparently.
It's all complete crap.
I thought it was something like that.
I've got a quick question for you, and it's a serious question. Elizabeth Green. Paul, I lived in Tamworth Road, East Croydon, when I was 3. I cannot imagine.
Ever since she left, it's gone downhill.
Yeah, now she's in Manhattan. I think her life's slightly improved from East Croydon to Manhattan. It's just a thought. And let's go up to Fife, very near the coast, where we'll find I've got the wrong one. Oh, for God's sake, I'll bugger that up. Right, here we go. The delightful Sue Sleet, mother of Dave Sleet. Good morning to you. Hey.
Does Sue even speak like that?
No, of course she doesn't speak like that. She came from Bromley. I don't think they speak.
Via Staples.
I'm Muck Bromley. Hey.
Via Staples Corner. I'm not sure what the Staples Corner accent is.
Staples Corner.
Is it?
I have no idea. It doesn't have an accent. It's near Neasden, and we don't want to hear anybody from Neasden ever talking. Kimmy Lashmar. Neasden.
I didn't think they did. They just normally, whenever I'm in Neasden, they grunt at me.
It's just, if you've never been to Neasden, count yourself lucky. Kimmy Lashmar. I lived in South Croydon, end of the 80s. Kimmy Lashmar said, Kimmy, I think you've pulled, Phil. I'll be honest with you. I think you have pulled, mate. Phil Dave, I reckon you look lovely, wasted on radio.
Oh, Kimmy,
you're
so
in
kind.
There. That's your weekend sorted. Let's not kid ourselves.
Leslie goes on to say that he lived in Hazeldean in East Croydon.
Yeah.
In 1962-ish. Circa 1962, basically. When it was beautiful compared to Hackney. Gracious.
Yeah. Areas change, don't they? A typical one which really has changed is Edgware. Edgware used to be really nice.
Oh my goodness me! Edgware is absolutely shocking. I say this. I say this with no due respect to anyone who lives in Edgware. It is devastating there now. What on earth has happened?
It used to be, people say, I live in Edgware, and you go, oh, that's lovely, and you go around for like a coffee. When people used to have coffee of an evening, that was the thing when I was, first married and all that. And you'd have coffee or go around for dinner. No one ever does that anymore. And Edgware was nice. And now you take your bloody life in your hands getting out of the car. Oh, that's horrible. Interesting. Oh, Kimmy's saying, yes, South Croydon was beautiful compared to Wood Green. Now, I've got happy memories of Wood Green because my mum and I, we weren't allowed to tell Dad. My mum and I, there was a Sainsbury's in Wood Green.
There wasn't. They only got electric light last week.
Listen, this is how long ago it was. I was very, very little. The Sainsbury's had wooden slatted floors. Nothing like the Sainsbury's
Pardon?
you see now. Yeah. The floors were wooden slats. I'm telling you now. And
That must
two
have been a
things
branch of
happened.
J. Sainsbury's. I don't know about Sainsbury's.
There was
It was
Sainsbury's.
like,
It was J.
no, I
Sainsbury's.
know, but
It
it's
was
like the
Sainsbury's.
original one.
Yes, it was like the original. Yes,
So
that's what
like
I'm
the corner
saying.
shops.
Well, no, it was much bigger than a corner shop, but it wasn't like a supermarket size. It was like a big shop, but the floors were wooden. And I decided what I wanted to be when I grew up from Sainsbury's.
You wanted to be a piece of fish on the counter.
You're an idiot. I wanted to be a cheese cutter. I thought that cutting cheese, because
arguably you achieved that.
When you're a little kid, when you're a little kid and someone's got something that looks a bit dangerous with a wire, and they used to cut the cheese with a wire. You'd have a little wooden handle and you'd cut it with the wire. And I wanted to grow. And people say, what do you want to be when you grow up, little Russell? I go, I want to be a cheese cutter in Sainsbury's. That was my dream. Anyway, Mum and I don't think my dad's listening. He's been dead 22 years. Would buy a meat pie, and sit outside Sainsbury's, hoping no one would see us and eat the meat pies because we thought they were delicious, but we couldn't tell Dad. He wouldn't have been happy. There's a little interesting glimpse into the pathetic history of my life. Elizabeth Green in New York City.
Whenever I used to go to Sainsbury's with my mother years ago, but I don't shop in Sainsbury's anymore for political reasons. I won't go into it now. Okay. But when I used to go into Sainsbury's with my mother years and years ago, apparently I always used to say to her, and can we please go past? No, I used to say something along the lines of, can we go and see the dead fish? I was fascinated by the fish counter. Absolutely fascinated by the fish counter for no apparent reason. I hated the smell. Even to this day, I can't bear it. Can't bear walking past it. But it was almost like I knew the fact my mother is a strict vegetarian, and it used to really wind her up.
That's hilarious. Can we go and see the dead fish, Mum? What a day out that was.
I know,
family.
But as opposed to, I was going to say SeaWorld was an anathema to me, but given that, seriously,
other people go on holiday to SeaWorld. Phil and his mum goes to Sainsbury's
Get to the fish counter. That was the nearest I got. But as opposed to what, though? I wasn't aware of any other type of fish in Sainsbury's. I would like to think that a prerequisite of them appearing in Sainsbury's were that they had lost their lives, but evidently not. Anyway. Oh, dear.
It's completely stupid. Elizabeth Green, I moved from Tamworth Road to an unmade up road, and road hadn't had proper service and all those. And the milkman had a horse. Oh, when I was a baby, my Auntie Teresa, would stand me on the kitchen top draining board. So I was that little.
Is that after you had a bath?
Milk cart, probably. And the milk cart was pulled by a horse. Jesus Christ. And yes, it's true. It was called, and the horse was called Betty. And apparently, I was this. She's holding me up. Like God knows, I'm like 18 months or something. And I go, oh, there's Gigi Betty. There's Gigi Betty. And I kind of remember it. I seem to remember that image. Can't remember what I had for breakfast, but I can remember my Auntie Teresa, my dad's sister, holding. I'm tiny. When you're a tiny baby. Martin Bell. Yes, you would. You remember Auntie Teresa. He remembers Auntie Teresa. And my Auntie Sylvia, her sister. Well, they were fantastic. They
were both your mum's sisters, weren't they?
No. Mum was an only child. Dad was one of 8. Dad was one of 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. One of 8. Absolutely. So Martin Bell from Mallorca is saying he remembers my auntie. Remembers Auntie Sylvia. Oh, she was a character. My God. And I do her telephone voice in my stand-up. Right, now then, what have we got? This is about East Croydon again. I don't know why we're talking about this. Paul Claridge.
Boosting tourism.
We're really trying to pull East Croydon out.
We're actually on the East Croydon Tourism Board. You'd never know it.
They pay us a fortune. They give us like £1,000 a show. Opposite East Croydon Station, they have the world's tallest modular prefabricated apartment block. Oh, God, I'm kind of losing the will to live. But it won't hold that record for long as the same Chinese-backed developers, can't say anything or I will have the whip removed, and what kind of weekend would that be, are now building an even taller one next to it. In fact, around Croydon, they're spending millions on new tall buildings, which nobody really wants or needs. Oh, and there's planning permission for Europe's third tallest building too. What the hell? So this is Britain. Let's turn it 180 and get serious for a sec. So they're building all this crap that nobody wants or needs. The police are doing Paul Claridge is in danger of his life every single day that he works outside East Croydon Station. Seriously. And there's people sleeping on the streets, and yet they can build.
Can I just say there is actually sort of more to that message, which I know didn't show up. So I think you got up to an even taller one next to it. In fact, around Croydon, they are spending millions on new tall buildings, which nobody really wants or needs. Oh, and there's planning permission for Europe's third tallest building too, only a few feet shorter than the Shard. Utter madness. All while the borough has a huge homeless population and crime rates that are through the roof. Well, I suppose I'm not trying to justify it, Paul, but one would assume that their motive is to try and, well, what some people sadly call gentrify, which I think sounds like a dirty word, which I don't know why it is, because actually I look at it as trying to improve an area. But of course, the improvement of an area usually, sadly, comes to the detriment of others. So.
Well, I don't want to make this London-centric because this is a global show. But when King's Cross...
We're always London-centric. How many times do you talk about Mayor Khan?
Not enough. Not quite enough. Now, King's Cross used to be disgusting. I mean, it was full of druggies and prostitutes, and it was scuzzy, and it was horrible. And then some geniuses came along and said, I know what we'll do. We'll completely... We create Granary Square and we make this a beautiful area of London, and blow me down, knock me down with a feather, knock me sideways. They did, and King's Cross is great. Now, the answer to King Phil's point is this. King Phil.
I thank you.
Thank you.
It was bound to happen, really.
I'm looking forward to your Christmas message. Is this that all the junkies and all the prostitutes and everybody were shoved out the area? So all that happens is you make that area nice, and then you make another area terrible. That area is Camden. Camden used to be very nice. You don't want to go to Camden now. Horrible. That's what happens. The problem just gets moved. The problem does not. The key is the problem doesn't get solved. It's not solved or resolved or improved. It just gets moved somewhere else. I don't worry about giving money to China, says Leslie Ian Jones, as the wife is Chinese. Help. Have you had the whip removed? Like my MP? Teresa was always at Charlton Road. Oh, Martin, you're bringing back such blooming memories. My Auntie Teresa was always round at my Uncle Charles. That was her brother, my dad's brother, and his then wife, Auntie Rhoda. Elizabeth Green, we ate yogurt for breakfast at Kate. Elizabeth, you're not 200 years old. Come on, stop it now. We ate yogurt for breakfast that came in glass pots, pink or plain. Of course we did. Absolutely, yeah.
Can I just say, even I remember some yogurt being served in glass pots. It's not that long ago.
It's not very long ago. It's not very long ago. And isn't it interesting?
You don't need to unnecessarily age yourself, Elizabeth.
You know, the interesting thing, though, is think about it. What were the first electric vehicles that we just took for granted and they got rid of? Milk floats.
Milk floats that were delivering milk in reusable bottles.
Yep. Yeah, I know. So we've really gone backwards. I think
I would actually suggest that sort of whichever genius thought of, oh, hang on a second, we really probably shouldn't be serving thousands and thousands of pints of milk a day in plastic bottles that can't be recycled. And then they probably also wouldn't think to themselves, oh, I know, we should probably encourage people not to drive to the supermarkets in their petrol vehicles to go and get that milk. Well, guess what? It never used to happen.
Elizabeth saying there were no driving tests. Yes, there were no driving tests. Blimey, what was this, 1801?
No, I make it 1224.
Elizabeth Green said, my father just got in a car and drove it. Oh, yeah, well, my dad... Because of my grandfather who died in 1946. I never met him. His gambling debts were so gigantic that all the brothers were dragged out of school because they had to repay these gambling debts, which were huge. And my dad, at the age of 14, was not only loading lorries, he was driving lorries, 14 years old. Yeah, so I don't want to hear any whinging about today's whingers and the Montecito idiots and all the rest of that crap. You know, you're 14 years old, you've got no formal education, and you're loading and driving a lorry, because otherwise you're going to get a visit, and it won't be polite, from the people that you owe tens of thousands of pounds to because of your dad's gambling debts. That's real life for you. Now then, I'm in the mood for some rather charming mugs. I bet there's no mugs today. I hope the mug situation has been resolved.
No mugs. The only mugs are on screen at the moment.
They bloom well are, I mean. But it is time, ladies and gentlemen, the highlight of the week. Oh, the tests were introduced in 1930. Martin, you know blooming everything. It's highlight of the week. We haven't got any jingles, so
I'm afraid not. I'm so sorry.
You just got to have a da-da-da. Now, ladies and gentlemen,
no expense spared in the sound department.
What a show this is. What a show today. I haven't even got, apart from you, thank goodness, I got a message late yesterday. Oh, the guests didn't respond. I mean, don't tell me yesterday. I mean, I'm not magic. I can't just magic people up.
Well, you say that.
Your fringe has grown. The fringe has grown now. You've grown it out. Have you succeeded, or is it?
It's growing out. It's sort of doing what it's supposed to do, but the hair's got too long, so I've got to go to the hairdresser next week.
I know the feeling.
Come round. Phil can come round. He's got gardening. Phil's got gardening equipment. He can come round. A little bit of a fly.
Chantal, I feel your pain. The hair's got too long. I hear your cries. Now, can I also point out as well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'll be absolutely delighted to hear that at 26 minutes past midday, the tuna is officially out. Thank you.
Oh, marvelous! I was worried about that
because we were. I couldn't sleep last night worrying about it. Right. So there we are, giving you a proper caption. What is brave about Phil? And I'm being serious. This is not one of my jokes. You know, normally he's known for his huge collection of hats, and Phil always wears hats everywhere. And now that he's decided to shave his head for reasons only known to Phil Dave, he's not wearing a hat. And I think it's
hang on a second. No, hang on a sec. I do wear a hat outdoors still.
But very okay.
I have to tell you that when I go out like this, it's a bit chilly.
Well, when you come out of the Tower of Power where you work, that particular concourse is
that area is very
Ferrari wind tunnel.
It's very cold there. I think it's the tall buildings. Now, look, Chantal.
I like your pate. I think it's excellent.
No, it's pronounced pate.
No, it's not pronounced pate. Even you know that, Russ Kane.
Chantal. I have to announce straight away. I know that you haven't even got to your first selection yet, but I'm very, very worried and very upset about something. Because it was within this last week that after nearly 40 years, that Neighbours, the axe, is potentially going to swing.
I know. And actually, what is very interesting about that, and, you know, it has been on telly a hell of a long time, is that it may collapse completely because Channel 5 are taking it off air. Now, that sort of seems extraordinary, really, that one country can be so crucial in the economics of a television program that clearly if Channel 5 doesn't commit to buying it, that actually the whole economic model just breaks down. I was really surprised to hear that because I had presumed it was, you know, a favourite all over the world, but clearly not.
But what I find apparently in Oz for a long, long time, apparently, because I've got family who've married in who are Australian, they've said for a long time, Neighbours is very sort of second rate over there. It actually moved from Channel 10, which was one of the primary stations, to Channel 11, which is sort of like their version of ITV2, if you like. So it was the backup channel it moved, and that was a long time ago it did that. So for the bulk of Neighbours, the production was, would you believe, for the British market, a lot of it.
I'm stunned by that. So, and of course, what's our chum Tony Hatch going to do? Now he won't be getting residuals for the theme tune for the last 40 years.
But all of these big productions that soak up all of the screen time, I mean, even at the BBC, I think every single drama that the BBC make has got some form of co-production money in it from somewhere else. To keep it going. So clearly, if some territories decide not to buy things, then actually it begins to just be simply too expensive. And that's the same for EastEnders at the BBC. I think that has money in it from BBC Worldwide, which is their commercial division.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, interesting stuff.
Well, look, it's not officially over yet, for what it's worth.
No.
There is still a chance that someone will come along. And from what I understand, I know this sounds very silly because it's a lot of money, but not necessarily in the world of television production. Apparently, they're only £500,000 short of a deal, which I find slightly surprising that it's taken that little in television. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, in everyday life, that's a lot of money, but that little in television to actually tip it over the edge. And I can't understand sort of why some sponsor doesn't come along and say, right, okay, here's £500,000, we'll co-sponsor it, off you go. Yeah. I'm very, very surprised by that.
Because it is to the big multinationals, that's peanuts. It's chump change. It's nothing really.
Well, it'll be sad to see it go.
Well, I haven't watched it. I've never watched
horrified.
it. I've never watched it in my life.
Oh, no. It's my guilty pleasure. I watch it every day.
No. Do you
Is Kylie still in it? Is Kylie still married to Jason? I mean,
she may well be, but not in this series.
Who the hell knows? Kylie's
but I tell you one thing. Jason Donovan's daughter is in it now.
Get out.
Is that right?
Joking me. She should be so lucky.
He's a very nice man. I had the pleasure of sitting next to him at dinner once, and I rather enjoyed his company. I thought he was a good bloke.
I can't say that I have ever met him, so who knows? But I've no doubt.
Now,
but I did work with Kylie. Actually, I worked with Kylie in about 1990. I was doing the anniversary concert marking John Lennon's death, which had happened 10 years earlier. And Kylie came along, and she was one of the acts. And she was an absolute delight. She was completely normal, utterly straightforward. You know, asked if I wanted to do some retakes, asked if her words were okay, did I want it redone. She was so generous and so easy to work with. Really nice.
And her sister Danny, who people are rude about, she's charming. I've had dinner with her a couple of times. It's just four of us, and she's completely lovely. They're very, very nice family. They're very, very grounded.
Absolutely,
which just proves, Shantas, that you don't need to become a complete dick when you become famous. You can remain a perfectly nice person.
Sorry, no one ever told me that.
No, you didn't get the memo. You weren't well that day. You were at the Sainsbury's fish counter with your mum looking at the dead fish.
I think there's a slight drawback as I forgot to become famous, but other than that, yes.
There is that. Okay, look, it was a good plan up to that last point when you fell at the final fence. Now, yesterday on BritBox, which I know is one of your favourites.
Yes.
What? Oh, dear. He's laughing. He's been sent. What have you been sent? You've been sent something, haven't you?
I'm so sorry.
It sounds like a private joke.
Oh, dear. No, it's
something he's been sent by Paul.
I'm about to put it on screen.
I can't see it. I have no idea what the gag is.
Paul, you are a very, very naughty chap indeed.
Is it?
Good heavens.
Go on, let's have a look.
Right. Well, it's this.
You do these things. That's so rude.
That would be me with the dome of St. Paul's Cathedral on top of my head.
That's so rude. Paul Claridge is very, very cool. I don't know how he does this. While he's standing.
Thank you for that, Paul. I feel marvelous now.
Now, yesterday on a BritBox, a new series started by my favorite author and favorite writer, Anthony Horowitz, who has been personally so kind to me. I don't have enough words to say what a lovely man he is. And it's an adaptation which he's written himself, which is always a good sign. Don't forget he wrote Foyle's War and Poirot and all sorts of other things. And it's The Magpie Murders.
Oh, okay.
Which is a very clever look at the world of publishing. So again, he's pulled off this trick, which is so hard to do, of the story within the story.
Right.
So you've got a current day story all set in the world of publishing, which of course Anthony Horowitz knows inside out, naturally, as being one of the top-selling authors in the world. And you've got the story of the book written by the fictional author, if that makes sense. And it's called Magpie Murders. It's a 6-parter. It's on BritBox. I started watching it last night until my blooming internet packed up. I went nuts. I'd waited all week. I was so excited. And Anthony Horowitz yesterday tweeted me, "Let me know what you think," which I thought was the most sweetest, nice. What does he care what I think? But it was such a nice thing to write to me. We always chit chat, and it looked great.
Lovely. He's a great writer. Used to write, I don't know if he still does, used to write sort of children's thrillers, because that was how I first came across him, because my boys, when they were young, used to love those sort of, young adult, sort of kids, sort of young James Bond type thrillers.
That's exactly what it was. Hugely successful. They've made those into films and a TV adaptation as well. Hugely successful. The moment his book comes out, bang, I get it. I mean, I get it that day. That's how much of a fan I am.
Brilliant.
Yes. Anyway, that's on BritBox, 6-parter. And I found, and then I'll shut up. I found something that I'd never seen before, because I was trawling channels again on your fabulous BritBox, which I think was your suggestion. So thank you. And it's an old series, but I found it rather nice, called Houdini and Doyle. No?
I haven't heard of that. Never heard of it.
Okay, Houdini and Doyle.
I have heard of Houdini and Doyle. I can't remember for the life of me what it's about, but I do remember. I've definitely heard the name.
If you like kind of Sherlock Holmesy type stuff set in the Victorian era, what they've done, for reasons best known, is, and though in real life they did meet, by the way, they mashed up Harry Houdini, the escapologist, and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the magnificent doctor and author of my favorite character of all time, Sherlock Holmes, and they solve crimes together. It's a lovely idea.
Yeah, it's a very good idea.
Lovely idea. Stephen Mangan, have I pronounced it right? Stephen Mangan, the comedian guy?
Yeah, Stephen Mangan.
He plays Arthur Conan Doyle, and I have no idea. I didn't catch the name. I'm really sorry. It wasn't someone I was familiar with who plays Harry Houdini very well. Very well. It's fun. It's a fun thing to watch.
Okay, that's fine. You are allowed to recommend good things, Russ Kane. You are not allowed to recommend things that are bad.
Michael Weston, apparently.
We will have words.
What have I what? You didn't like something? What have I done?
Well, I don't like talking about shows that I don't think are very good, but you and I
do.
Poles apart when it comes to something called Trigger Point on ITV, which started last week and just doesn't cut it for me. And I saw you waxing lyrical about it on Facebook.
Did you not see my follow-ups?
I did see the follow-up, but by that stage, hundreds of your followers will have rushed and wasted 2 complete evenings watching Trigger Point. Anyway, I say no more because I don't like to speak ill, because I know people have worked really hard to bring television to our screens, but I think with Trigger Point they shouldn't have bothered.
But hang on a second, Chantal. I beg to differ, because it's a matter of taste, exactly the same way that when one puts a meal together, one would hope that a lot of effort goes into making that meal. It doesn't mean it's to everyone's taste.
No, I think there's a difference between a badly made program and a well-made program. And I don't like everything, but I know what's well-made and I know what isn't. And that particular program
I really would like to ask a serious question.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that
Trigger Point, if you don't know, in 2 sentences, Vicky McClure playing Vicky McClure again, basically, but more miserable, if you could even imagine such a thing. She's from Line of Duty, and she's a bomb disposal expert. Just go with me on that. She's a bomb disposal expert. Yeah. Okay, fine. And there's a series of bombs, and they need to be defused. That's kind of the plot, right? It's in London. It's in the present day. We don't know who's setting the bomb, but we can all kind of guess. So what was it about? I'm really serious, because you're the expert and I'm not. It's your business. It's not mine. You look at it. What did you dissect from it that really annoyed you? Because I'm really curious. It's a serious question.
The plot was wafer thin. I mean, wafer thin. The plot just wasn't brought to the foreground at all. You just saw them racing off to defuse one bomb and then another bomb and then another bomb, by which time your whole life is being stretched, or your sense of belief is being stretched incredibly thin anyway. Because actually, I think we're very lucky in London that there aren't, as far as we know, lots of bombs being diffused all the time.
She was getting like 3 calls a day at one point.
I mean, it's ridiculous and, massively under stress. And you're thinking, hang on a second, this is probably one of the quietest jobs that you could have in the country, being a bomb disposal expert. Not called out very often. But actually, none of it.
I should imagine a Victoria Cross maker has even less work. But yes,
indeed, you're right. It didn't hang together. Now, actually, I got as far as the end of episode 3, and you were right. It was slightly better. It was better paced. It was. It gripped you better. But I thought, honestly, the first 2 episodes were like nails on a chalkboard for me. They really were.
It's really
disappointed.
Really interesting. And then they stick in a scene, like a 10-minute scene of in a snooker hall, and you think, what have I learned? And you think, nothing at all.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
Absolutely.
Anyway, there we go. Okay. So sorry about that.
But some things are good. There's still lots of great telly out there.
Speaking of still lots of great telly out there, because Paul Claridge has said, my pick of the week on BBC iPlayer, which I'm currently binge watching, is both series of Dinner Ladies by Victoria Wood, of course. I'd forgotten how beautifully written and acted it is. It is, without a shadow of a doubt. I actually feel I appreciate it every time I watch it a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree more. I think we mentioned it a few weeks ago, because I only found Dinner Ladies about 6 weeks ago, and I binge watched the whole lot over a couple of weekends. It is magic. It's the best thing I think Victoria Wood ever wrote. The cast is incredible. Fun enough, I introduced Celia Imrie at a Q&A that
she did. I saw a photo of that.
Phil and I were busy. Don't worry, we had things to do anyway. We were busy.
But she was in Dinner Ladies, and I had, when I watched Dinner Ladies, I thought, my God, every single actor and actress in Dinner Ladies was a gem, a complete.
Kate Robbins is in that as well, isn't she?
Yep, and
she plays Babs.
Just fabulous. It's a great.
But it's the really silly little lines that are just the most hilarious, and it's the perfect timing of them. One of my favorite examples is one of the lead characters in there is called Jean, and she's one of the Dinner Ladies, obviously. And she goes through a bit of a nervous breakdown after her marriage breaks up. And the Dinner Ladies try and think of how they can best help her and what they can do. And they decide to call her sister, who's called Peggy. Now, Peggy, you may realize, I can't remember the name of the actress, but she currently plays Phyllis Crane in Call the Midwife. So you know the older nurse Crane.
I don't know it because I don't watch it.
Call the Midwife.
Yeah.
No.
I think
it's just you and your dead fish.
That's so strange. I could have sworn you said. Anyway, well, she currently plays Phyllis Crane, who's the older nurse in Call the Midwife, and that is Peggy, who is Jean's sister. She walks into the canteen, bearing in mind she's a one-off character. And she's arguably given one of the best lines ever. She just stops the conversation. She says, "What have you been cooking? Food?" And it's so stupid, but so quick, so sharp. It's just hilarious. And you just think, where does that kind of comic genius come from?
Because Victoria Wood, clearly.
Isn't it interesting though? The word genius and legend and is banded around.
Oh no, it's too much.
By anybody these days can put on a pair of trousers and not fall over. And Victoria Wood was.
She was
a comic.
She absolutely was. I really remember feeling very, very sad when I learned that she died.
Yeah, because she had so much. She had so much more to give, and her legacy to this day is peerless. Absolutely peerless. She was magnificent.
For those that didn't see Dinner Ladies 20 years ago, it's still there and it's an absolute peach. It's really worth it.
And here's a little bit of what have we got? We got Dinner Ladies also featured a very early appearance for Emmerdale actor Liam Fox as Derwent, the trainee decorator. These days, Liam plays Dan in Emmerdale, happily married to my good friend Jojo.
Oh,
Paul
lovely.
Claridge, how did you know that?
How the hell? I don't know how he did that. Right, and we've got Paul
I
Andrews
had that
saying,
conversation with him on social media, but I didn't realize it was a friend of his.
glad Chantal enjoyed The Puppet Master, a UK sort of Tinder swindler.
I did. Very
Okay.
good.
Oh,
Tinder Swindler,
okay.
also brilliant. I don't know if anybody watched that after I mentioned it last week.
I
But,
tried, I started, but I got a bit bored.
No.
got a bit
Did it hit home a bit
bored.
too much, Phil?
I'm not Israeli. I just like Israel. There's a difference.
Oh, I didn't even know who was it. So I was just thinking about you being a swindler on Tinder.
Oh, I see.
I didn't
Oh,
realize
right.
what he. I don't know anything. I forgot what it was about. You're quite right. All right. Okay. Now then, there we are. Right. What else has crossed the great professional view of Chantal Ricard's?
Okay, so I'm going to start with something that the Guardian gave 1 star to, and I have to say I disagree. But I was
going to say, I'll love it. I know it.
Straight away. Guardian don't like it.
I knew the Guardian would just really not like it. And it's called The Gilded Age. It's a drama.
It's incredible. Oh, my, Chantal, I'm so happy you're mentioning this.
It's the new series from Julian Fellows, who wrote Downton Abbey. And Julian is amazing, and he's a great, great writer. And this time he's taken New York in the 1880s. So the dresses are wonderful, the sets are wonderful, the tables are wonderful, the art is wonderful, the street scenes are wonderful. And it's basically upstairs, downstairs, Downton Abbey, old money meets new money. It has got 2 fantastic leading actors or actresses in it. Because Celia Imrie said to me on Monday that I could still use the word actress, so I was very pleased about that.
Oh, yay!
It's got Christine Baranski, who a lot of people will know from from Mamma Mia, from The Good Wife, from all sorts of wonderful things that she's done in recent years, and Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City, not the revised Sex and the City that came out quite recently, which is not worth watching, but the old original Sex and the City. She was the redhead in the original Sex and the City, and they are sisters, and they are old money and very reserved, and opposite is the Russell family, and that is definitely new money. They are building railroads. They're, as one would say, filthy rich. And then, of course, there's a great power struggle between the old money trying to keep out the new money, not being accepting of the new money. There are all the sort of obvious tropes that you get from a Julian Fellows story. Somebody's secretly gay. Somebody downstairs fancies somebody upstairs. Somebody is behaving with financial irregularities going on. It's honestly, it really is Downton Abbey all over again.
It is, but it feels fresh. It's very strange, isn't it? Because even though I see anyway, a lot of similarities between Gilded Age and Downton Abbey, I don't feel like it's anything I've ever seen before.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because it's America, and we don't often see that bit of America. But they're very clever how they bring in the names of the families that we all know, like the Guggenheims or the sort of the big New York industrialist names.
The Rockefellers.
The Rockefellers, exactly. The Astors. I mean, really, it's very interesting. And they sort of overlay all the sort of social concerns of the time. They do bring in a person of color who comes in to play a secretary, but she really wants to be a writer. So she's trying to break through not only the class barrier, but also the barrier around color. Excuse me, that's my phone ringing.
Oh, God, ice cream. It's a bit chilly.
It's Julian Fellows. Julian Fellows calling. You missed a bit.
Yeah, Julian Fellows going, thank you so much.
But it's definitely worth watching. It's on Sky right now. You can watch the first 3 episodes only because they're dropping them week by week. It gets better and better.
That's so frustrating, isn't it? I'm hating this. I want to binge watch, damn it.
Can't binge watch it, but stick with it. The first episode, I wasn't entirely sure it was going to be brilliant, but actually, I'm now 3 episodes in, and it's a cracker. I'm definitely hooked.
And can I just sit with Cynthia's character, by the way? Sorry, can I just Cynthia's hasn't she got a great laugh? There's something really mischievous about her. I think it's terrific.
Is it like Sid James? No, I'm sorry.
No, not quite.
One of the things people don't realize, certainly Europeans and a lot of Brits don't realize, is that the East Coast of America, especially around New York and especially Boston and New England, is incredibly snobby. It is much snobbier than Britain. Everyone thinks, oh, the British, they've got a class system and this, that, and the other. It pales into insignificance between, as you say, old money and new money, and what goes on in the Hamptons, and it's still the same.
Yeah,
that has never actually gone away.
It's the old bit of America. That's the old America. The new America is the West Coast.
Sure.
So the East Coast is the old America, and it's riven with problems about who's better than who and why.
Totally.
And just to answer Kimmy, who says what channel, it's on Sky. It's on Sky on demand.
It's on Sky. It's HBO and it's on Sky. So if you're an HBO subscriber, you'll find it there, but it's also on Sky. And
also, might I say that what I particularly respect about it, and I hope that it sort of stays that way, is that it's a drama that is true to the age.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, you're not getting a lot of box ticking for the hell of box ticking, which most people just seem to do now because they're so terrified of offending somebody. That actually what Julian Fellows has done is it's inclusive. There are, as you said, there is an actor in it who is black, but she is portraying someone who would have been going through what someone of her heritage would have gone through at the time. And they're not afraid to show that. Yeah. And I respect that so much more than people who make programs now because they think they have to be all inclusive and I hate this expression, colorblind.
Yeah. No, honestly, I agree with you. I'm trying to desperately think of the Netflix series that everybody was raving about last year.
Oh, Bridgerton.
But Bridgerton, which was Regency England, and
it didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense. Didn't make sense.
No, didn't make sense.
Anyway, did it matter?
I didn't watch it.
You see, it's interesting. I agree with both of you, which is blooming rare. It didn't make sense. You looked at it and you go, "This is just bonkers, isn't it?" But did you manage to get past that and think, this is just entertaining? Just park your mind. It's like kind of traveling to Dubai or Las Vegas. If you go there looking for intellectual stimulation, you're in the wrong town.
It wasn't. It wasn't just entertainment. This was the problem. It wasn't just entertainment. It was a political statement, and that's what I didn't like.
Yeah.
It was silly.
Have you read the reviews of the new production of Hamlet?
No.
Which is, look them up. If you want to be entertained, everybody, look up the reviews of the new production of Hamlet.
Right.
They've rewritten that. I am not making this up, and this is on at one of the top theatres in London.
Yeah.
And they've got things like lines like, I'll have to change the language. F you, Polonius. Now, to the best of my knowledge, call me out here. I did take A-level English. And I don't recall the bard ever writing F you, Polonius.
That's hilarious.
And
I'll give that one a miss then.
It's just, well.
I don't want to unnecessarily advertise, but that sounds like something the National would do. Is it there?
It's
yeah, that's what I thought.
It's a shocker. It's an absolute shocker.
Well, I've got another drama that's just started. Ooh. Really, one for you, Russ. I don't know whether you like medical dramas, but there is a connection.
No,
because this is based on the book called "This Is Going to Hurt."
Oh, This Is Going to Hurt. Yes, my kids got me that.
Well, there we are. And
that's what your kids told you.
Well, the reason that your children may have bought it is because the writer went to the same school as your children. Yeah. And
me.
And you, indeed. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Adam Kay was a London medical student who became a London doctor and went into obstetrics and gynecology. It's based in 2006. Adam Kay actually wrote about it in a book called This Is Going to Hurt, which everybody raved about 3 years ago, probably. Everybody was buying it and giving it to each other for Christmas. And actually, it was very, very funny. And it was like a diary form of things that had happened to him when he was a senior house officer, no, a junior registrar in one of the South London hospitals. And he wrote down all the funny things. And he wrote down a lot of the tragic things too, but in diary form. So what they've done is they've turned this into a drama for the BBC. It started on BBC One this week. In fact, they've, I think, put all 7 episodes up immediately. So they're there if you want to watch them. He breaks the fourth wall. So he talks to you, the reader, the viewer, which some people don't like that convention, but I don't mind it. It feels
I like it, actually.
A bit clunky sometimes because you're not quite sure when he's talking to you and when he's talking to the patient.
Well, I think it works for Mrs. Brown's Boys, but I'm not sure about a drama.
Yeah. Well, it does work sometimes. It has been used to very good effect in some things. But anyway, that's what he does, because clearly he wants to be able to tell you what he's thinking and feeling. And so much of what goes on in a hospital is ludicrous and ridiculous, and you can't say so if there's a patient in front of you. So anyway, that's how they've got round his sort of inner monologue and how it comes across. Anyway, it's worth watching. I don't think it's as good as the book. I don't often compare a book with a TV series. It's quite gory, and most of the stories have come directly from the book. And the book, he says, were real episodes that happened to him when he was a young doctor. He's now a writer. I don't know where it's going to end up, clearly, but it's definitely worth watching. But if you don't like blood and gore, then actually avoid it, because it is pretty grimy stuff.
I was going to say, this doesn't sound like one for Russ. It sounds more like something I'd watch. Russ doesn't like all that blood and gore stuff.
I don't like that.
And of course, what I haven't said, and I should have said, is it's Ben Whishaw.
I was just going to say, is that the one with Ben Whishaw? Yeah, that's
Ben Whishaw plays Adam. Yeah. And most of the rest of the cast you don't know terribly well. But there are some good character roles in it. And I think it's going to be good. I'm hoping it's going to be good. They've changed the Adam character in that Adam in the book was always getting home to a grumpy girlfriend, and his relationship was always falling apart, and he was never there for dinner parties. This time they've written Adam as a character who has a boyfriend, who's at home, who similarly gets fed up because he's never there for dinner parties. I don't quite know why they made that change.
Why would they? You see, this goes back. This goes back.
I
feel I'm walking across a minefield here, but I'll be careful.
No, just say it.
To exactly what Phil was saying earlier, is that you've got the book and the guy is in the book straight. Why do you then decide, because it's the BBC or whatever, no, we'll make the guy gay? What? I don't understand why you... I have no problem with his sexuality. It's irrelevant. But it just seems such a strange thing to just shoehorn in when the book says one thing, but the TV adaptation says another. That's my issue. It's not the issue of the guy's sexuality. I couldn't care less. Good luck to him. Have fun. None of my business. I'm just curious why people do that.
I have no idea. Anyway, rather sadly, it shows the NHS probably at its worst. You really feel that this guy, Adam the writer, Adam Kay, was struggling when, they were lacking equipment, things didn't work, the alarm's always going off because it's broken. And they're all under stress. You really, really do feel that. So, clearly these were times before our more modern NHS, where we like to feel that they've got loads of equipment and loads of staff, but maybe they haven't.
And it all functions perfectly. Chantal, have you got any quickfire suggestions?
I've seen the first episode of No Return on ITV, which is the new Sheridan Smith drama. Danny Brocklebank has written it. It's about a family that goes on a package holiday, and the 16-year-old son gets into trouble and is thrown into a Turkish
trailer's
jail.
good. Trailer's good, but I thought, no, I don't fancy the storyline. I thought it would upset me.
Episode 1 is good so far, so I'm going to stick with that, and I'll report back. If it's bad, I'll let you know. But
is there any dog grooming? Does she groom any dogs in the show? Or?
She doesn't groom any dogs. No,
I'm going to watch it now.
In that case, what's the point of that then? Chantal, thank you so much as ever.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
There we go.
She's great. I'm sorry, she's marvelous. That's all
Absolutely.
I have to say on that.
And she keeps coming back for more. I don't know how she puts up with this. Truly.
I think it's your boyish charm. I think it's that. I can't think of anything else. I mean, she's like the busiest person on the planet. This is what gets me. She's like the busiest person on the planet, and she always finds time for us. And I think it's incredibly sweet.
And we're very, very grateful. That's it.
A lot.
Thank you very much for your comments today, for partaking. It was a bit lighter today. Thank goodness we've had a bit of a heavy week, so why not indeed?
Got a heavy week next week.
See you. See you Monday at midday.